Security Halt podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan SARMs, Precision Wellness Group, and Pure Liberty Labs. Michael Meegan, welcome to Security Halt podcast. How's it going, brother?
It's going. I appreciate you having me on today.
Dude.
Thanks for reaching out, and I've been looking forward to coming on the show for a while.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. It's important to find individuals that are being vulnerable enough and forward thinking to give back to the next generation of warfighters. It's really easy to focus on the things that are awesome, the great assignments, and to be selfish and say, this is my service. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay in regiment. I'm going to stay in group. And I'm going to suck all the life I can. But eventually we have to move forward. We have to give back. And what you're doing is, it not only does it take a lot of time and effort, but man, it's remarkable. And I just have to have you on to talk about it, brother. So before we dive into it, dude, how did this journey begin, man? Where did it all begin for Michael?
Yeah. So, well, first off, thanks. I appreciate that a lot. I like to think, moreover that it's a very much a we commitment, out here from the entire team, to include the cadets and everything else. Obviously out here at Texas A&M,
Yep.
doing the job that I'm doing now. Just for a little clarification, when you're asking that question, are you referring to what I'm doing currently, or where I came from?
Take us all the way back to the very beginning. A young Michael Meegan with long locks of hair as he was thinking of joining the military.
I don't know about the long locks of hair part. I was in the middle of a little bit of an identity crisis, funny enough story. Right before I joined, I knew that I was going to have to, cut my hair, and that I couldn't do anything stylish or faddish with it. Right. So like right before I came into the Army, I actually dyed my hair jet black and did, it was, don't ask. It was an awful decision. It looked like shit. I look like a Papa Roach tribute band dude.
Yes, dude.
But
yes.
It was it was pretty funny. There's actually some photos that may or may not be floating around the interweb somewhere of me doing live band karaoke a couple of weeks before our shipping out of from MEPS, with jet black hair, just looking like a real shit kicker. So it was good times. So that's the long locks of hair story, I guess. Before that, man, I grew up where service was very much a thing for my family. I come from a long line of service members, war fighters, honestly, if you want to get down to it. I mean, my great grandfather was a veteran of 3 wars, World War II, Korea, Vietnam.
Damn.
Served long enough to where he actually wound up serving with his son simultaneously, in Vietnam.
No way.
Or at least at that time. Yeah, no, for real. And then his son, my grandfather, so that was my great grandfather. My grandfather served a couple tours in Vietnam, made his 6 and 3, unfortunately, because of, the battlefield promotion was a real thing. And he had a couple of rough tours, unfortunately for him. My dad, God bless him, love him. He was the one that decided to go into the Navy, taking the, to this day, he does say that he regrets not going to the Army. He wished he had done that.
Disappointment in the son's eyes.
Womp 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 womp. No, I'm proud of I'm proud of Dad too. He did say never again volunteer yourself, right? That's what Navy stands for. So, but had he not done that, I would not be here, right? Because he met my mother, who was in the Navy, at the same time. She was a corpsman at the time, going through that training, and met my dad. They hit it off at least long enough for me to come into the world. And then, my mother is actually, she served 4 years in the Navy, then did a service transfer over to the Army, did some inactive time, but picked up a active guard contract. And she is officially retiring in February. She's a command sergeant major.
Damn.
Yeah, down in Florida, Florida AGR, right? So my mom's been a lifer. I come from a line of lifers before that. And actually, funny enough, as I continue to dig into my family history, not to get to like Lieutenant Dan about it, but like
No.
every single American wall, somebody from my line, my tree, going back somewhere in my family line, all the way back to French and Indian times, um, somebody with my genes was fighting in some conflict. So I would just say that ever since I was young, I never sought out easy things and I couldn't explain why. And I wasn't the fastest or the strongest or the biggest or the best or the brightest at all. But I knew that I wanted to be where things were tough. And I don't know why. I never understood why that was about me. I've like I, there have been times in the moment where I've regretted it, but like overall in my life, like I don't regret it. But like I just had an inclination ever since I was young. I think one of the earliest times I can remember it was I was in an elementary school, and at the time we had physical education before they decided to
Yeah.
kind of take that out of schools, right? Hopefully that'll be a thing that comes back. But I remember they had kind of like ability group A, B, C, that kind of stuff. They had that, right? And we would do this lap around the baseball field. It couldn't have been more than, maybe a third of a mile or tops, right? But I just remember that was the route to run. And I was a terrible runner ever since being a kid. Like running is not something that I came by like naturally. It's something definitely I've had to work at and scrape and claw at and stay on top of and really focus on trying to be. But it irked me that I wasn't with the A group. And
Mm.
I like every time I went out there, I would just push myself to the point where I was like throwing up, feeling like shit, just to get up there with the egg, just to make sure that I was in that like that top pack, that front pack that was finishing. And I don't know why it bothered me. I couldn't figure out why. It was like in my head, like, why do you care? Like, coach doesn't care. You could stay here in the back, but there was something about it that irked me. I wasn't with that. And so, eventually I did, obviously. Because I just ran harder than
Yeah.
the kids around me were willing to run. Right. And so I came
Yeah.
from the back of the pack to the front of the pack before the school year was over. Um, my mother obviously instilled a lot, like reinforced a lot of those, the carrots and sticks in the household reinforced a lot of those things. So it was always, do your best, always. Um, don't settle for average. Don't settle for anything, right? Like go get what you're worth, work harder, put your head down. If there's something you want, then get it. If you if you're complaining about something that you don't have and you're not working towards getting it, I don't want to hear it. I don't
Yeah.
want, I'm not your shoulder to cry on. I don't want to hear about your woe is me. I don't have, if you're not doing the things commensurate with what you said you wanted to do. I had to grow up quick in that regard. And I just kind of grew up in that sort of household, right? My mom didn't spare the rod. My grandparents, they reinforced those teachings as well. And so, some people are of the opinion that I was raised in a tough home. I was, and that's fine. Like that's okay with me. Like there were there were things that I took away from it that made me strong enough for the world that was to come. So I
Yeah.
don't regret those things. There's certain things that, talking about my mom, my grandparents, stuff like that. They regret some of the
Yeah.
heavy-handed stuff, but overall, like it made me kind of who I am. So it kind of primed me perfectly for going into um, something difficult. Right? I didn't initially want a life of service, because I saw how much my mother poured into it and how much my family members had poured into it certain times, and I was all like, oh, I want to do something else. I
Yeah.
want to go into sports. Maybe I want to go into entertainment. I thought law enforcement. I thought a couple of different things. Right. But it was just like, I wanted to be challenged. And when those things, kind of fell through and my path changed a little bit, I realized that I wasn't living up to my potential. And I realized that um, something just kind of clicked for me, something clicked like it's my turn. It's your turn to go do what it is that, like my father and his father and his father before him, and so that's just kind of one day I woke up and it just kind of all made sense. Like, Mike, you're supposed to be a soldier, so get your ass over there and let's go. And
Yeah.
not only are you supposed to be a soldier, but like you're gonna you're gonna go places and try things and do things that other people either can't or won't, mostly won't allow themselves to get there. Again, trying to get to that lead group, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really what kind of fueled me coming into the army, was making sure that that's what I wanted to do. And I've said before on, other times I've talked about this, but I didn't know what what Ranger Regiment was or what Rangers were. I just knew Ranger, the word gets thrown around a lot, and Ranger equaled elite in my mind. So it's like elite, Ranger, cool, Ranger, special forces, special Rangers, something. I know that I want to go pursue something like that. I knew that I wanted to be more than. And if I wasn't sure about it at that point in time, I was damn sure fucking sure about it by the time I got done with basic training, because the
Yeah.
thought of being around like 90% of that population for the rest of my service, I was like, damn, dog, like none of them even want to sniff this. And I'm okay with that, because I want to go the opposite direction of some of the things I'm seeing over there. And so that just kind of like made it up in my mind that like, okay, I'm wired for this. I I took to this a lot easier than most of the other people that were very avoidant to it, resistant to it, didn't want to adapt to it. I just kind of just
Yeah.
seamlessly glided right into it. Basic training wasn't hard. And I knew that I was kind of on the, or at least I had a good assumption that I was on the right path of where I was supposed to go and what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You get a lot of people think that everybody's cut the same when you get to basic training, that everybody has the same drive. This is not saying anything bad about anybody, but there is there is a division. There are guys that are just, I'm just going to get through this, get to where I need to go, and there are the kids that want that Ranger contract. They want that extra challenge, and that is not for the faint of heart. It is not an easy thing, and you see very different people when they get separated and the kids are going to RASP. I start, they go to their reception, they go to their new home. And what was it like for you, understanding and knowing that you were cut from a different cloth? You're you're looking for the challenge and that day one experience. It's no longer airborne school. It's no longer basic infantry. Now you're like, all right, now I'm starting my audition for Ranger Regiment.
Yeah, as I've pontificated on this before with some of my friends years ago, kind of trying to explain it to them, and on other shows, interviews. Other times I've been asked about this question, right? And I've said it before, that I wanted to win. That's what I wanted to win, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what really separates the guys that are supposed to be there versus the people that aren't going to make it, right? Is they have this drive and this need to get the W, because something that played to my strength as I was coming in and kind of gearing myself up mentally for these things, right, was the fact that I came in a little bit older, right? Had I come in at age 17, 18 years old, 19
Mhm.
years old, maybe I wouldn't have made it. Maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe I wouldn't have been emotionally callous enough, mentally callous enough, tough enough to do those things, because there were moments even at, me being 21 years old and having gone out in the world and lived some life through
Yeah.
college, through working odd jobs, through, ups, downs, failures.
This episode is brought to you by Pure Liberty Labs. Quality supplements designed to elevate your health and performance. Check out their full line of quality supplements, whether you're looking for whey protein, pre-workout, creatine, or a super greens drink. Pure Liberty Labs has you covered. Use my code SecurityHalt10 at checkout today.
Coming up short, heartbreaks, relationships dissolving, family relationships dissolving at times, right? I mean, like, not to play the world's smallest violin, but if you want to imagine like every single door that I was pursuing getting closed one by one in my face, um, quite a bit of it through
Yeah.
fault of my own, some of it through just sheer bad luck and the poor decisions of other people, right?
Yeah. But I think
Got
those
me
are
to the
blessings
point
too, man.
were
I think those are
they are.
blessings too.
No, they
We don't see it in the
100%.
moment because I've talked
No.
to so many of our generation of
Yeah.
guys, and I was right there too. I was chasing all sorts of
Yeah.
weird shit, and I want to be a police officer. I want to go to get this degree. I need to go to CSU. I need to go to Colorado State. But
Yeah.
what? But
Yeah.
every opportunity that I thought was my thing kept closing when I talked. And like I said, when I talked to other guys, had the same experience. And then it's like,
Yeah.
well, when am I really truly happy? Like, when am I really excited about life? Like, when I'm challenged, when I'm going through something difficult. Like, it's such a unique thing. I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like, we feel complete utter failure that like, oh, this opportunity didn't turn out right. And it's only when we sit down and take that knee and reflect that we're like, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. What was that definitive like last door closing that made you just say, fuck it? Like, I'm going after service. I'm going into this.
When I was homeless. I mean, like, if I'm being honest, thank God, thank goodness for the generosity and kindness of some incredible people. The Ford family is who I'm thinking about right now. I was couch surfing
Yeah.
over there in their apartment. Before that, it was like literally had nowhere to live for a little bit. And still trying to fit this square peg through this round hole of,
Yeah, dude.
no, I'm going to make it. I've got plans, man. Like that, like, that guy that always is like, you know what, dude, I got an idea. And he always has like some fucking startup idea, but like he never actions it. That was me, right? That was me dyeing my hair black and shit. You know what I mean? I had earrings. I put earrings in. It got fucking weird,
abs.
man. I'm going to
7-minute abs.
That's it got weird. It got weird, right? I was going to be, I was like, yeah, you know what? Screw it. I'll be an MMA fighter. That's what I'll do. There's, and I'm like, I don't, like, and I'm like, oh yeah, if I put in like 2 good years of hard work, I could be in the UFC. I'm like, fucking moron. But
there's always that one friend. It's like, God bless him. He's like, fuck yeah, Michael, you can do this. I'll help train you. I know a guy.
Right. Right. Actually, funny enough, the Fords are they're both Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts now.
No
my buddy
shit.
Ryan, he lives in Brazil pretty much full time. He does the I don't want to mess this up. It's the a BJJ Fanatics podcast. He's the host of that show.
Oh, nice.
And he he's out of Damian Maya's school. He's a black belt. His brother Chris is also a black belt. So I mean, they stayed with it. They were good, and everything. Yeah. But I was like, that wasn't much of a plan. I'm like, living on their parents' couch by their good graces. I'm eating rice-a-roni at their house. Like I'm eating their food. I'm like, and I was just like, God, hey, as appreciative as I and indebted as I was at the time to those folks, like that's no way to live. You know what I mean? Like I was bringing nothing to anybody, quick, you know what I'm saying? And so I couldn't live like that anymore. Right.
Dude, I had a similar,
so that was kind of the
experience.
definitive.
I was,
that was really,
the last apartment I had, going back, it was a sublet. So I'm like living beneath a house, and it was a poorly constructed like basement apartment. Like it was no way in hell this was legal. But the guy rented out the top to two guys fresh out of prison. Like, I'm not talking about like local county jail, like fresh out of fucking prison. And I just remember having this day coming back from my dead end job and sitting down with these two dudes that are like trying to understand how to live amongst other members of society. And they're like, man, like, I, I don't know how to live and move up in where I'm at right now. And they're telling me this, and I'm like, dude, I don't either. Like, I don't know where the fuck we go, Bo, but
What's that?
maybe
What's that
we
scene?
go active duty.
What's that movie, Liar, Liar, where he's like,
Yeah.
stop breaking the law, asshole.
And for a split
There's
second,
your
I was
answer.
like, I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm in college, I'm in the National Guard, but in this moment right now, these are my peers. They're trying to desperately stay on the right side of the law, find meaningful work, and feel like they're contributing to society. And I'm on the same level as they are. So what does that tell me? Like, and you know, by the grace of God, I found myself realizing that, like, dude, I'm meant for something more. And if I play by the rules of society to where what they're telling me is what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm never going to succeed in life.
Yeah. I think I realized that, it's kind of like that when you're a kid, the parable of the ant and the grasshopper, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I can sit here and, try to take advantage of people's kindness and basically screw around and not get serious about like really knuckling down and going through and going to the places and the paths that are seldom traveled. And I can go nowhere quick and I can essentially die next winter. Or, I can go ahead and say, hey, I'm obviously not doing a great job of figuring my shit out right now. Not much is going right for me right now. And maybe I need to listen to that little voice in the head that's saying, hey, I think there's a path for you. I think there's a spot. There's a way that you can go ahead and at least eke out an existence for yourself in the meantime. And it's funny because, I know some people are not very religious or faith-based or whatever it is, but I've come to find God in the design of life. Typically, when it's things that are not going my way and I can't figure out why, and then all of a sudden it all makes sense, right? I think I was born and destined to do what it is that I do now. That's what I was supposed to be. And when I leaned into it and embraced it, those doors that were closed, they started flying open, right?
Yeah.
And not only was it flying open, but I was succeeding and I was winning. And after being a 5, 6, 7, 8 time loser in the things that I wanted to do or thought that I wanted to do in life, all of a sudden I'm a winner. All of a sudden I'm first in basic training honor grad. I'm the RASP honor grad. I was a Ranger school honor grad.
No shit.
Just boom, 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 boom. Oh, yeah. No, a real one, not like Tim Kennedy. Like I was a real like Ranger school honor grad. I'm looking at the tomahawk on my wall right now. Hold on. Wait, hold on.
Oh. Hell yeah, dude.
There she is. I got
yeah.
her. It's real. It's for real. Okay. I don't need anybody coming after me. Well, fact check, bro.
That is not an easy thing to fucking accomplish, man. Not an easy feat. Just graduating it, man. Just graduating, getting through the process. But getting that honor grad, getting through those doors are opening up and seeing the momentum, like boom, 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 boom. That is a powerful reminder that you're living your purpose, your mission, your why. And to connect it to that spirit, to connect it to like, okay, God's looking out for me. That's important to have it in the moment, because I didn't have that ability to reflect and say, okay, we're really quick to pray when everything's bad, but I wasn't willing to accept and look at God's as he's giving the opportunities and he's putting them in front of me and I'm succeeding. And I think that's something we got to talk about and help people understand that, like, hey, be grateful for the blessings, but you have to be grateful for the fucking missed opportunities too, man. And be aware of in those happy moments where you're succeeding. You didn't succeed all that by yourself. There's somebody out there looking out for you. Whatever faith you have, whatever you want to believe, just understand,
Yeah.
acknowledge it, man.
Yeah.
Because we don't get
Oh,
through this by ourselves.
100%. No, 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 no. You don't. And that's one of the things I laugh at the most is like the lie of the self-made man. It's like
Yeah,
this American dream or this kind of lie of the self-made man. It's like, ain't no self-made man. Look, somebody cared enough about you because I have kids. I've got we just welcomed our third daughter.
nice.
3 girls, 3 queens, right? You're so frail, you're so fragile, you're so helpless. Somebody cared enough about you in some way or form, someone did, to get you to adulthood. You couldn't do that on your own, right? So, I mean, even if you come from a situation that's rough, tough, you didn't get a lot of handouts, you didn't get the silver spoon treatment, maybe you lived in a terrible place, where you barely kept the lights on, you weren't able to eat, horrible things, whatever. Somebody, somewhere along the way helped you enough or did something for you to get you to this stage in your life, because we live on a savage rock in an unforgiving space, right? Surrounded by a million things that could potentially kill us. And somebody along the way helped you out enough or gave you something to get you to where you're at right now. And I think people need to take account of that, obviously, and also God's grace, in that life, in that journey, right? To put strategically those people and those opportunities in your life to at least get you to another day. And I've had to really do a lot of deep thinking on that, because I definitely, there's times where I'm anybody that works around me. The cadets at the program can tell you this, fellow cadre, people that have worked with me before. I always say, aim small, miss small. We're going to aim small, miss small on this one, which means I'm not going to be satisfied with where it's at, because I want us to miss small. I don't want us missing big. I don't want us completely missing the point of the training, or getting to a place where we get complacent and it's just good enough, right? But with that, got to be kind of careful in those moments not to be ungrateful, right? And take stock of the things that are going well, right? So you can have that drive, and you can have that intensity, but just remembering to off to the side, like, hey, thank you for blessing me with this intensity and this intentionality and this, attention to detail and those kinds of things. But I do understand that this is a blessing. I do
Yeah,
understand that we're where thank you for getting us where we need it. It could always be worse. Could always be worse. I'm not going to change. I'm still going to be obsessive over these things. We're still going to strive to be the very best that we can. But I'm thankful for at least we have X, Y, Z, whatever it is, because it could always be worse.
yeah, absolutely, man. And I gotta imagine that that lesson was brought in when were being formed and molded in regiment. We forget that our units, wherever you go, that's the place where we get the most mentorship, the most development. And for every ranger, or I should say, clarify, every soldier that I know that served within Ranger Regiment as a member of America's most elite infantry unit, that mentorship process is brutal at times. Absolutely brutal, but pressure makes diamonds. What was it like going there and that first day on the ground, meeting your team, meeting your platoon, meeting your team leader. What was it like going there and getting there? This episode is also brought to you by Precision Wellness Group. Getting your hormones optimized shouldn't be a difficult task, and Dr. Taylor Bosley has changed the game. Head on over to precisionwellnessgroup.com, enroll, and become a patient today.
Well, I'll say my first day on the ground was literally on the ground, doing a lot of push-ups, doing some bear crawls. Welcome to the intensity of this place. The funny thing is like, like I got my beret. I was the honor grad. Then I had a high enough GT score where I was selected to go to the regimental commo course, right? So it's basically like I was just smarter than the dummies to go learn how to do some radios, right? And it was me and like everybody else that had a college degree. I didn't have a college degree, but like everybody, I was noticing a trend, right? I was like, everybody else pretty much had a college degree in this group. I didn't have one, but I happened to be, smart, good enough, right, to go. So it was fun because, I got to be like in regiment, but it was pretty chill, like by regimental standards. The course 100% was, because we just came out of RASP, it was like intensity 12 out of 10. This was like about a 6, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, obviously, like it's Ranger Regiment, like don't mess around, don't screw with these guys. But at the same time, they're teaching you. And we had, I think the course was 2 or 3 weeks long, and we had a 4-day and a 3-day, and it was like, what the fuck is this, right? Like all of a sudden we have like freedom, these other things like that, right? So I get out of there, I'm like, okay, I'm the top dog, and I've already done this course, like I'm killing it. I'm gonna be like, and it only took 2 weeks for the humility that I was storing up, in RASP and RASP Hold to kind of dissipate, because I was like, I'm young, I'm look good in my uniform, crisp beret, walking around that, big old hog, like walking around the battalion area, like I'm the fucking man. I got the Charlie company. They snatched my fucking soul right out of it. Boom! They were like, let me get that, homie. Just like it was a little chain. Give me that. Give me your chain, bitch. Get on the ground. It was like, whoa, dude. Like, it was funny because I thought I was the shit. I did realize I was the shit, but I was like the shit on the bottom of their boot, pretty much. I was the lowest guy on the toe. And I realized very quickly that, and I realized this when I met my RASP cadre too, but this was just like a continuation of it, right? Where it was like, oh, I've now met legitimate war fighters, right? Like here they are. Here they are because they're literally still doing the job. And that level of intensity, that level of, like I literally thought like there's a good chance I might get my ass whipped in here today. Like I'm like, they may just like, I felt like, anybody could have come out of anywhere and just been like, just start balling me up. You know what I mean? Like you were like on pins and needles, like shifty eyeballs, like little sweat beads, like shit, man, I hope he doesn't talk to me. Who's that? And it turns out he's like a private, but he's like terrifying. You know what I mean? It was like dudes are walking around in PTs. It's like, who's that fucking guy? You know what I mean? He has one rotation, but he looks harder than woodpecker lips compared to you. Right. So that's what it was like at Seco 375. And anybody that knows Charlie Company 375 knows that is quote unquote dubbed, lovingly the standards company, right? It's like the standard bearer. They're going to enforce them, right? It's just that way, right? That's how those guys were. They were very professional, just no nonsense, hard-nosed, physical company, especially with the first sergeant that was coming in at that time, which was First Sergeant Brian Strait. Incredible NCO. Can't sing his praises enough. Learned so much from him. Mainly don't piss him off. That was the main lesson I learned. But he definitely he played hard and he partied hard. And, if you were doing the right thing, you never had to worry about anything with him. But when you didn't, you knew, like you knew sure as Christmas Day that he was going to show up and hammer everybody. Like it was because it it felt like very much one big organic thing, Seco. It was like, we do things here this way. This is the Charlie Company standard. This is the place we're molding right now. I don't give a shit what's happening outside of here. This is how you're going to act. This is how we will be. And if we're not that, fucking heaven help you. And that's how that was run there. And that's something that has stuck with me throughout my entire career. When we talk about building places and building teams with a certain amount of intentionality, attention to detail, and an identity and a culture. And what I'm saying right now will sound very, very familiar to my cadets at A&M, because that is how we have tried to model Rudder's company and turn that into that kind of a place where this is how we do it here. I don't care what's happening out there. This is how we're doing this here. And that was kind of the biggest lesson that I learned at Seco 375, right off the rip. And obviously after that, it was all of the skills, right? All of the rangering skills, all the block and tackle skills. Your marksmanship, fitness was ruthlessly enforced. Obviously, all of our battle drill 6, CQB, CQC, or 0300 mission, airfield seizure stuff. I mean, like, it was meticulous drilling on every single aspect of the basics, right? To bring this beautiful thing together where it's like, you're so good at these developed hard skills that when you bring them all together, nobody can mess with you in fire and maneuver as a direct action force. You just can't, right? I started off in weapons squads. Like, you're talking crew drills, you're talking rates of fire, you're talking understanding that weapon system inside and out, whether it was the 48 or the 240, whether it was bipod, tripod, whether it was whatever the loadout was, what was the mix for tracer versus ball, like what is plunging fire, what is grazing fire, how do we swing, how do we traverse,
Machine
how do
gun
we search,
theory.
all that stuff, right? How do we pack it out when we jump it? What's a blocking position versus a support by fire? Like, all of these things, right? Were just beaten into the head and made some incredibly lethal squads, teams that came together to be incredibly lethal platoons, an incredibly lethal company.
Yeah. And I have to imagine that formative development that's based on rigid standards just sets you up for success. You can apply that methodology to anything and bring that to young minds and help them shape their future careers just based on learning and understanding the principles of prioritize excellence in the small things. That is the one thing that I've seen from so many successful guys that come from Ranger Regiment, is that defining, like, personality trait of seeking excellence in everything they do, um, which can oftentimes set you apart from a world that praises mediocrity and praises being just willing to just submit the bare minimum. Like, that is,
Yeah. Yeah. That Hallmark coffee shop psychology. Just be happy. Just be you. Just be your, live your truth. Like, live your truth. Yeah. The fuck is
but,
that?
but
You know
like
what I mean? Look, what if you're delusional? You know what I mean? What if like, live your truth? Really? No,
we
I
see
think you should
that.
probably get hip to what's actually happening around you and seeing, I find myself juxtaposed often to what is considered normal, average, good enough, or even what some people consider good, right? And again, it goes back to that aim small, miss small kind of mentality that, for better or for worse, a gift and a curse, right? That I walk around with, like I said, trying to be grateful, but at the same time, it's like, man, I'm really grateful. That's awesome. Now, this is how we could do it better, you know? and, uh, and, you know,
Bring it
I,
down a notch.
yeah, I don't think that's something I'll ever lose. And, you know, to be honest with you, I
Yep.
don't want to.
Yeah, dude, there's nothing wrong with that. And I have to imagine when we look at what it takes to be leading at that level at Ranger Regiment, which is, dude, it is known there is one standard, and everybody meets it. Excellence across the board, through and through, and it's addictive. Nobody wants to leave a company, a platoon, a regiment that is fixated on winning. One thing, win. How do you get to the point, or what happened to get you to say, you know what? Maybe I can be a force multiplier somewhere else? Because everybody I've talked to, whether it's a sergeant major or a young specialist that decides the ETS, walking away from Ranger Regiment um, is not an easy thing.
All right. To answer your question, you know, everybody has an expiration date in regiment. And I think, you know, for some people, that's being the RSM or the RCO. For some people, that's not even making it through your first enlistment, you know,
Mhm.
or not even, you know, like making it through RASP. You know, I don't know, right? I've heard some statistics from regiment that suggest that it has a very similar shelf life to the NFL, where the average career there is anywhere from about 3 to 4 years, and that's the average NFL career as well, right? And so it's the reason I use that as a comparison is because you, soldiers are athletes, and I think that just completely gets lost a lot of times in the translation of what we do on the day to day. I think the further you get from the tip of the spear, the less you feel like an athlete, the more you feel like it's a 9 to 5, whatever. But at the end of the day, um working at Aflac, no one's going to come to your house and tell you to fucking move because you couldn't run 2 miles fast enough. You know what I mean? That is a reality in the military, right? That is a reality that, like, if you don't uphold a physical standard to wherever it is that is expected of you, you're looking at a lifestyle change, Bubba, like a big one. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go home and explain to your wife that you were too out of shape to keep the house. That's a problem, right? And that's got to be humbling and just so just awful. And you know, there's no they're really, you know, not trying to sound like a Navy SEAL, but like there is no easy days in regiment, you know, not really. I mean, well, that's actually a lie. There's certain days that are easy, but there's a lot of days that are, you know, like tough, right? It's on the line. Like it's constant competition for your position, for your job, everything else, right? So like, and I've said before that a place like that absolutely needs to exist, has to. You got to keep that place sharp. You have to, and if that means, you know, taking off some of the dullness, then by all means, that's the nature of that beast. It's a volunteer unit. It's a special operations unit. It's not for everybody, and it's not for everybody all the time. It might be for you from X to Y, right? There might have been a finite amount of time that it was for you, and that same guy in another time space, it's not for him, right? The time has kind of passed him by. I am that guy, and I'm very honest about that, right? Like if I wasn't, I would have been called out about that already, right? From that crew. I physically and career wise timed out where I timed out in regiment, right? I had a big injury to my shoulder, really messed up my timeline. I capped out. I didn't have the jobs available that I needed that were commensurate with my time, grade, rank, all that. And I probably I probably could have milked a little more time had I looked into maybe like a going back to a shop job or
Yeah.
a headquarters job or whatever. And that's, hey, listen, I'm not talking shit on anybody that does that. Like people have different circumstances for why, family, whatever. I knew that I did not want to prolong my time there by doing that. I wanted to leave with as much of my good name still intact, having done some good things in the unit and not, be the guy that's like fish, starting to like,
Yeah.
oh, dude, he's still in the S5 shop. Like, what are you like? He's still selling fucking decanters, like, no, like I'm not doing that shit. Right. So
Dude's
like,
been the Sergeant Major's
um,
driver for 7 years. What the fuck?
mm, hey man, not this guy, right? Not this guy. And so it it took
This episode is brought to you by Titan SARMs. Head on over to titansarms.com and buy a stack today. Use my code CDenny10 to get your first stack. I recommend the Lean Stack too. Start living your best life. Titan SARMs. No junk, no bullshit, just results.
I think I'm not trying to toot my horn in any way. I'm just saying I think it takes some courage to know to like, hey, I know I need to go and I'll find another assignment, I'll find another way, and I'm going to walk out of that brown fence with my head up, as opposed to being forced out, RFS, whatever that is, because you're right. The allure of that place is intoxicating. You miss the guys, you miss the culture, you miss the sweet stuff, you miss the facilities, the funding, the fire and forget nature of a lot of things. I didn't even do my own DTS pretty much the entire time I was there. You know what I mean? Like, we had people for that, and so like when you leave, it's a new story, right? I felt like in a lot of ways I was learning about the Army for the first time in fucking 12 years. Like, what do you mean I have to do, what's that shit? And so like I literally over the last couple of years, I've been very thankful for this assignment here at Texas A&M, because I've had to learn how to Army, not
Yeah.
just special operations. I've had to learn how to be a holistic NCO in a lot of ways, through some trial and error, as opposed to just being on the line. I had to learn how to be an infantryman,
Mm.
not just an assaulter, not just a Ranger, strike force assaulter, right? Which is like, I feel like in so many ways, the GWAT for all those years, it was very rinse repeat. You had a
Yes.
very distinct mission set, direct action point, raid, time sensitive target, go, boom, 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 repeat, 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 repeat. Now I'm realizing how much my life was ruled by, and they're good because they have their time, they have their application, right? But SOPs, TTPs, things that were derived from doctrine, but are not doctrine and are
Yes.
nowhere near the whole. It's nowhere near the whole rule book, not even close. And so over the last couple of years with Ranger U and those kinds of things, like when I started delving back in and realizing like, holy shit, man, like my scope of knowledge that I thought was very vast and very broad was not so much. Like, I had to hit the books again and realize and start to learn and really like begin to unpack like, okay, well, this is what Ranger Handbook says, but this is what ATP says. This is what the ADP says.
Yes.
And really kind of like start falling in love with that re-education of those kinds of things, and like understanding what a light infantry platoon and how they would function and the things that they would have to go through versus, hey, time sensitive target, wheels up, 10-hour op, back on the fob, gym, tan, laundry. It's very, not to say that I didn't do my fair share of roughing it. Like, definitely spent 24 days outside the wire on one of my rotations, and I know that's not as much as some people, but for Ranger Regiment, that's some time.
That is.
But that, be, that being said, right, like, I can definitely rough it with the best of them, but like, again, right, it just that awareness of like what I was and what I was taught up to that point, and really really good at that, but this whole new level of awareness coming out to the conventional, and moreover, like where you're now educating future officers,
Yes.
running sticks and, FTXs in that more conventional space, as opposed to, hey, we've got little birds, we've got all the rounds in the world. We're going to come out here, we're going to burn this place to the fucking ground, and then we're going to hit the Waffle House at 2 a.m. Like, that's not how the rest of the Army trains. Like, they go to the box for like 2 months and live an ape's existence out there. And that's like a completely whole different thing that you got to gear your mind up for. And so just, I think moreover, like leaving, it really just gave me that awareness. And I'm thankful for that, because I'm able to take that foundation and those intangibles and the tangibles that the Ranger Regiment gave me, and then now have that broader awareness of the Army, and then find ways to plug and play and make, live the charter, go make those conventional units and those kinds of places better with how we do things in regiment. It's not so much like, it's not the what we do, it's the how we go about things that is, I think, the real impact.
Absolutely, man. You're hitting so many things that I want the viewers. If you're an enlisted man, if you're active duty right now, hell, even if you're not, you can still take away these bits of knowledge of professionalism. It's not about being com- complacent, being happy with what you have already achieved and sticking to what you're good at. And we've lost the idea. I don't know where. I think it's partly because of GWAT, um, where NCOs are just comfortable being who they were, what they did, and not diving into the text. The idea that NCOs are dumb and aren't educated and aren't supposed to be well versed in their profession and all aspects of a profession needs to go away. We need to bring it back to the professionalism. It's not just about our officers. Our NCO Corps, the backbone of the military, is more than capable of learning and diving into their training manuals and understanding their profession inside and out. Because when that young officer comes to your platoon, and they're supposed to be leaders, you're supposed to be that person right there helping them understand their job. And that's something that I love about special forces, where it's like, yeah, you got a captain, you got a warrant officer, but it's the fucking team sergeant. It's the NCO. He's like, don't get it twisted. That's the fucking guy. That is your superhero. That is the dude that's a subject matter expert. And that's what I want people to understand. Like, the fact that you were willing to sit down and say, you know what? I'm not going to rely on just my Ranger Regiment tactics and professionalism and everything I learned there. I'm going to dive into this and understand the wider conventional force, what it really truly means to be an infantryman, and understand that this is going to change. It's not going to be fun. None of it is fun. There's a lot of reading and a lot of deciphering information,
Yeah.
and
Very
it's constantly,
humbling.
yeah, and it's constantly evolving. It's evolving today. What our guys and gals are going to be seeing in this next in the future of warfare is still being written in books right now. And like I said, man, it's individuals like yourself that are going back to these schools and taking on these leadership challenges of being a mentor, of being a guide, of being a coach to the next generation of leaders that we need to fucking look up to and say, dude, you're doing a great job. Support them. Like, and I find it really fucking awesome that you tapped into podcasting to put this knowledge out there, man. Where did this idea come from?
Yeah. So, it came from me being, actually, it was born of selfishness. And it turned out to be like, kind of like a way more beneficial to people than I thought. I got tired of repeating myself. I'm, I'm
That's the
serious.
most Ranger NCO thing ever.
Uh, I'm serious. I swear to God. I had given classes, based off the Ranger handbook, so many times, right? Because I really do feel like that, for all its faults, as it's, the applications change on the ever evolving battlefield and all that other stuff like that. Doctrine in and of itself is mostly descriptive in nature, mostly descriptive. And it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to give you the lefts, rights, but you operate in here, right? Procedures are prescriptive, right? And so in the Ranger handbook, there's a lot of procedures for how these things are done. I like to start there with new young units and students and whatnot for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a good common operating language right off the bat to get a young cherry platoon to go accomplish XYZ quickly, right? You can get them spun up with the TTPs and the SOPs and the kind of the checklists quickly to go do a basic, combat operation, if you will, right? Next, Ranger School itself is a huge driving force behind, career progression. So it would probably be good to at least know most of what is going to be expected of you in that school so that you can go get your tab, so that you can go plug in and be in the places that we want quality leaders to be. I would hate to think that, we have a really good dude, a really good quality leader, but he just doesn't quite understand Ranger School well enough. So he's not going to get his tab. He's not going to get his career advancement. He's not going to be in a good position. And some rock eater that, happens to get through the school, that's all, nails up here. He is, right. And now he's in a position just being an awful leader with a Ranger tab. Now I'm going to say, I would say most people with a Ranger tab are good dudes. Most people with Ranger tabs are problem solvers, but there are the examples of the ones that didn't get through that are great NCOs and officers in their own right, but because they don't have that little piece of cloth, it's okay. That's cute. Your back burner. This guy knows what's going on, no matter how fucking dumb he might be, or toxic, right? Or self-absorbed, right? Because it has Ranger, right? So what the hell question were you asking? Where did this come from? So anyways, that's my very long roundabout way of
This
saying
episode's brought to you by
started with
TBI.
I didn't want yeah, no kidding, right? Jesus. Brought to you by ADHD, big time. It started from me just kind of getting tired of repeating myself. And then I started to think like, okay, well, if I can't get these kids to read a fucking book, but I can get them to listen because they have a very busy day, right? So you can listen to a podcast while you're on the treadmill, the bike, walking to class. You can have it on in the background while you're studying something else. You got a 20-minute drive, boom, you've got a podcast episode. You can go ahead, fire that up and learn about RAID, learn about react to contact, learn about land navigation pro tips. You can learn these things or at least hear these things. So it's not the first time you're hearing it when we go to that block of instruction. Right. And so that's kind of where it started for me, was there. I had no idea the wider impact. And listen, when I started it up, I was like, it would have been nice to have an audiobook companion for me sitting in my locker as a brand new private trying to read the Ranger handbook and decipher what the hell it meant, right? And unpacking that tactical and putting it in practical terms, right? I wanted to make the tactical practical, right? That's one of my like little taglines, right? So anyways,
Trademark pending.
Trademark, right? But I had no idea that so many people were going to listen to it, right? I thought, I was like, hey, if I can get like 50 of my cadets at the program to listen to this and they get a little bit better, wonderful. I had no clue the reach and I am an awful podcaster. Like I am so inconsistent. I got to put more episodes out. I still only have like 20 something episodes of that podcast. I have to record more. It's just been so busy. Right. But, I've had so many people reach out to me from all across the Army, officers, NCOs, senior NCOs, junior NCOs, kids that want to join the Army, people that are going to ROTC, other ROTC cadets that have all made mention something from the show or the profile or something helped them out, right? Whether it was a block of instruction, whether it was something motivational that, I had put up or something like that had helped them out. And then I've gotten probably 24 messages of people that graduated Ranger school that are like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast before I left and I got my go this time." And so that to me is so cool. It's really humbling to know that in some small way, I was able to just help somebody level up. Other than that, I could care less. And contrary to popular belief, I don't make a dime off of this at all. I got accused of, oh, he's making money off. I'm like, I don't make a dime off this shit. I wish I did, but I don't. So like, I don't make any money off this.
People
Um,
are so
but
fucking
it,
People are insane. They're like, "Oh, you got a
yeah,
podcast? You must be swimming in
yeah,
money." The amount of people that come out of the woodwork when like you have like an episode that does really well, like, "Hey man, you know, you seem to be doing real good these days." I'm like, "Sir, I run a poop and cum joke meme page and podcast. I am by no means fucking swimming in millions of dollars. I am a small business owner working my dick off. Like you are barking up the wrong
yeah,
tree." Yeah.
yeah,
But it's when
yeah,
you make
100%.
content that's purpose driven, that's helping people, that's really the payoff. Like you might not be able to take it to the bank, but through your actions, you're making our force better. You're making our infantry leaders better. You're making a young soldier better. Like just thinking, just what you just shared right now, individuals are able to get through one of the toughest leadership schools the military has to offer, and they're able to get a go, man. You're changing their trajectory. You're changing their path in the military, and you shouldn't take that lightly. That is a huge fucking thing, man. So kudos to you for stepping up and being willing to do that. Because sure, it's just sitting down in front of a mic and recording and sharing some knowledge. But now more than ever, we live in a digital space. And if that young kid who has a dream of going to Ranger school and he doesn't have a good mentor, he doesn't have somebody that's willing to sit down with him, but he finds your show and your profile, and it's given him the motivation to succeed and just fucking try, man. Which is something that I'm seeing that is just it's not as common as we think it is. People that are willing to try to just achieve more than the bare minimum. It's becoming a rare fucking thing. So kudos to you for being willing to reach across in the podcasting world and wanting to aspire just a little bit of positivity out there. The more important thing though, have any of your cadets graduated, and have you been there long enough to see your guys or gals graduate and hit the force yet?
Yes, actually. So right now, our company is at about a 94% of the guys we've sent over the last couple of years graduation rate for Ranger School. We've had IBullock honor grad, we've had IBullock Ironman, we've had Ranger School honor grad recently.
Hell yeah.
We have, yep, and we've had a former a former member of our company from my first year here who just was selected through RASP 2. And we have more heading in that direction as well with interviews and whatnot. We enjoy a nearly flawless graduation record of Army schools. There's one in particular, and the one that I can think of right now, unfortunately, broke his leg at Airborne. He's going back, so like he'll go back. He'll go crush it. That's the only reason. Air assault grads, airborne grads, plenty of commissionees, plenty of guys and gals out there doing great things in the force. And then our our numbers, not to go down the rabbit hole of boring, but um here for advanced camp this last year for ROTC, we hit like historic benchmarks, like historic, like
Yep.
no one has done that
That's
for
fucking
what we were
awesome.
able to do in terms of, yeah, regimental honor grads and recondos are basically like, you maxed out everything. And just top 5% national OML, top 10, top 15, top 25. Just the things that we've been able to produce from the program have been elite. We've
Yeah.
put up twice the number of any other program across ROTC in general of, recondos and national graduates, distinguished military graduates for I think it's going to be the fourth consecutive year. 99% or better, well, like 99% of our company. This year it's 100%, but I think we're carrying about a 99% average for Rudder's company right now of getting branch of choice. So these cadets are going where they want to go. That makes me so happy and humbled and proud as their senior enlisted advisor, because I tell them, do your best and you will be where you're supposed to be. And when they make that commitment to the company, because we have our own standards, we have our own constitution, we have our own tenets, we have a big 5 priorities, we have a vision statement, we have a mission statement, we have a motto, we have a culture of our own. We have a culture that we want to keep rock solid in that place. Just that same kind of culture that I was introduced to at Charlie 375. We got that. We got that. It's not the same. It's not the same. I'm not saying it's the Ranger Regiment. It's not the Ranger
Yeah.
Regiment. But if they were to come hang out and see, it would be familiar.
They'd be
You know what I
proud.
mean? They'd be like, this feels right. And that's how we get after it, right? And so that culture of do your best always, no matter what. Like, and you will be where it is that you're supposed to be, because you will have earned what it was that you were supposed to earn. And if you do anything less than that, you won't. And to have it play out, to have it be success, to have it end in the way that validates that, makes me extremely happy for all of them. And it's just incredible stuff. Like I never would have thought that I would have the personal investment, the personal relationship, and relationships that I've had with those cadets, and those future leaders, and really care and have a vested interest in, their futures and the things that they go on to do. I don't have much time left in the Army. I hit 16 years like tomorrow, in 2 days. In 2 days, I'll hit 16 years. By the time I'm out of this assignment, I'll be over 16 and a half years. So whatever assignment I move to after this is going to be my last assignment in the Army.
Yeah.
I have put just as much, if not more, of myself into this assignment than I did in 12 and a half years in Ranger Regiment. And it's because I believe so strongly in showing those future officers the good NCO officer relationship, molding those future leaders to go be impactful leaders in their formations, outside their formations, and do things that make sense and start getting our force and our country in general back to somewhere that makes sense, back to somewhere where we're doing simple better. We're getting back to the basics of what it is that we do and doing it at a high level and saving lives on the battlefield and off the battlefield in garrison, developing formations to be successful, not just transactional shit, not just using people for 3-4 years and then they're just as bad off as they were before they came in. Developing those lower levels, exercising mission command and driving those things down to those lower levels, allowing people you're not abdicating the responsibility, but you're driving authority into this formation so that everybody owns it, right? That's where you make great organizations. And I want to take our guys and gals and shoot them out into the force where they go make little miniature rudders companies all over the place. I'd love to see that. That would be so great to see that kind of an impact across the force. And I know it's not going to be a tomorrow thing. It's not going to be a next week thing, but eventually, eventually I would love to see them go and make those impacts all in those places. And it would make Old Sarge, very happy.
I think you will, brother. I think you absolutely will. That's the power of your mentorship. And I have no doubt that even the viewers, even the people that are watching the things that you put on your social media are seeing that and making a conscious effort to be better on a daily basis. Just 1% better each and every day, because your reach is not just within the echo chamber of universities or ROTC. Now you have a presence all around the world. You have veteran, non-veteran, civilians. The message that you put out to the world is to push. I think it was perfectly captured, sorry, in the post you put out the other day when you were talking to your cadets to finish strong, to run all the way through, sprint all the way through. Don't give up. Continue sprinting. Even when you're gassed out, even when you're fucking tired, finish strong. And it was such a powerful message that it resonates with everybody that's trying to do better in what they're doing. And I can't wait to see more of that content, man, because you never know who's going to find that. And you never know who you're going to inspire. And all of us in this space need to understand that. So, dude, thank you for what you're doing. For those of the audience that don't know about your profile, where can they find you?
Yep. So just on Instagram at Ranger U. That's r.a.n.g.e.r.u. And I don't have like a mirror profile on Facebook or anything like that, but I'm just Michael Meegan on Facebook. But that's more for the older crowd. I like to do family and college football sort of on Facebook, and then Ranger use its thing. So anyway, that's where they can find me. I don't have anything else fancy. You can Google me. If you put in U.S. Army, Meegan, Ranger, Meegan, anything like AI search will pop me right up to the top. I found that out. So apparently Google knows who I am. So, and then we'll give you plenty of links to my stuff, my podcasts from other people that I've been on. So you can find me that way too. And if you really want to find me, you can come down to College Station, come on down to campus, find the Trigon building, come up to the 3rd floor, last office on the left. I'm there. So
be ready to do some fucking push-ups too. Brother, thank you so much for being here today, man. It's absolute blast. Like I said, you're doing great things, and I hope more young people find your content and get inspired and choose to go into a life of service in the military, no matter what branch. I really like for you to consider the Army. Maybe pick up that 18X challenge. Maybe go see if you got what it takes to be an 18X Ray straight off the street. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever it is, I just want you to take up the challenge to serve. We need more service members. I think it's a great gateway to an amazing life. And, I was a kid dreaming, and I continue to dream, and doors kept fucking closing in front of my face. But the moment I stopped, I took a knee and I decided to bet on myself and go active duty. It's the greatest fucking decision of my life. Win, lose, or draw, bad experiences, good leadership, bad leadership, shit deployments, fucking selection, being a paratrooper. It was the life. It was an adventure of a lifetime, and I just want more people to find themselves doing it.
Best days of your life.
Absolutely.
You got to know when you're in the good days. Yeah, you got to know when you're in the good days, man. It's one of those things, right?
Dude, absolutely. Just a blast having you on today. Thank you so much, man. And to everybody listening, do me a favor, pause right now. The episode's over. You know the spiel. Go to the episode description, click those fucking links, support the sponsors. They're making this available. I really would like for you to help them out, maybe buy a couple things from them, but I won't push it on you. But please click those links. Say hello to Michael on Instagram, follow his account, and get ready to be fucking motivated, you fucking hooligans. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Till then, take care. Security Halt Podcast is proudly sponsored by Titans Arms. Head to the episode description and check out Titans Arms today.